Hello. So today I'm going to teach you how to make a character and a character select and different types of characters. So what you want to do first is make a character.py, and then we need to say import world, which remember world is the file we made in the last tutorial. Excuse me. And then we need to make a starting position equals world dot starting position, and obviously we're getting that from the starting position in the world. So there's starting position. Now we need to make a class called character, and then we need to make define a function, which is the initializer function, which always takes self as the first parameter. And I'm going to copy and paste all of the parameters simply for time, and I'm going to do the same thing for the variables, but I will explain them as we go. So, oh goodness. So first we got name, which is obviously what the player is going to choose, the name. Sorry about that. And then we got car type, which is the character type that they've selected. And we'll use that later on in the game, and you'll see how that comes into play here in a second with the character select. Then we got max health and health. And the health is the current health they have, but max health is the health they had previously. So a better explanation is, hopefully that thing doesn't keep popping up. Better explanation is, say they had 5 health, so before getting attacked, so they had 5 health, that's what health would be assigned to, and then they take 2 damage, so they would be at 3, so their new health would be 3, but their max health would be the health they had before getting attacked. So basically the current amount of health assigned to the health stat. And the same thing with mana. So basically that makes it so if they take a healing potion that restores 3 health, but they've only taken 2 damage, then it makes it so you can't go over what level of health you already have. So again, if they had 5, took 2 damage, but they tried to heal 3, they would only heal 2 because they don't have that much health. So, and again, same thing for mana. So then we got strength, dexterity, intelligence, charisma, stealth, defense, and then the mana. And those are all stats, obviously. Now I'm going to do the same thing with copying and pasting in the variables. And again, I will be explaining them. So first we have self.alive. This will be, well actually, self.alive and self.victory will both be used in the game loop, because while the player is alive and while they haven't won the game, we'll play the game. So self.alive is true because obviously you want to start with, them being alive. And then victory is going to be false because if they won right out of the gate, who wants to play that game? So then we got self.battling, and we set that to false. And remember, we have battling, or the in battle variable in from the last video that lets us play around and give them new actions like attack and flee and etc. So we'll be using in battle, or battling, in there. Now we take last position. So for example, if we would record the position they were at just before they got into a battle, because if they want to flee from that battle, we would put them at the last position they were at. And if they're, well, you'll see here in a second. So tile steps, basically if we have a if we have a map that's say 5 by 5, but we want it to seem like a 10 by 10, we would set tile steps equal to maybe 2 or however many steps you would like them to take before actually being able to leave that tile. That way it seems like a bigger map, and every step they take, they'll actually be shown the intro. So they'll be shown the intro text on every time they take a step. And then self.wallet is for the currency system, and I'm just going to set that back to 0 because I was doing that for a debug in my actual game. Then we're going to make self.tired and self.slept. Self.tired is equal to false, and self.slept is equal to true. And this is so we can make basically a sleeping system, just to add a little bit more fun, kind of, and also kind of like survival system. So for example, we would use that if we wanted to make it so they had to sleep, but if they didn't, let's say, buy a bedroll and use it, then they have the chance of passing out, and if they pass out, then they also have a chance of losing one of their items from their inventory because, let's say, somebody stole it. So there's that. And then can teleport, I'm going to delete that, but if anybody out there wants a video on like perks and such like that for different classes, let me know and I will make one for that. So we're going to make another variable called level XP req for requirements, and we're going to make that a dictionary, and I'm just going to put 2 because we'll start them at level 1. 2 takes 100 XP, 3 takes 200, and etc. However many levels you want to go for. Sorry for the cut, but killed quest enemies basically just lets us do a check and make sure that the player has killed the required amount of enemies of whatever type of enemy is assigned to that quest. So as you can see from this comment, it says for quest type, let's say hunt monster, the enemy name is the key and the number that the player has killed is the value. And then once we check to see if they've finished a quest, then we'll check in that and we'll check it against whatever active quests they have. And then if they meet the requirements of however many they've killed of a certain type, then we move the quest from active to completed. Then we do defeated enemies. This is obviously for when the user dies or wins. Then we can show them what types of enemies they've killed and how many of those different types. And then we're going to have a excuse me, we're going to have a day and night cycle, and that'll make it so, as you can see from the comment, it says used for random enemy interactions. So if let's say they have like a 10% chance of, that'd be really boring, it won't be that, but let's say they had a 10% chance of interacting with an enemy walking through the forest or whatever during the day. Well, at nighttime we would bump that up to like 50. So that's why we'll have a day-night cycle, and also that'll help us with the tired and slept. And then self.equipped, I'm going to set this to none for the moment because we haven't made items, which we'll probably do in the next video. So self.equipped, this is literally so we can use different types of weapons, and yeah, you know what equipped is, I'm pretty sure. So now we're going to take a step count and times count. So obviously self.step count, self.time count, both of them are equal to 0, and the step count is actually used for the tile steps. So let's say you set your tile steps to 2, so they would have to take 2 steps to get out of the current tile. Then once the step count equals 2, then they can get out of the tile, and we reset step count. The time count increments with the step count, and the time count will help us make the day-night cycle. So let's say we have morning set at 10 steps, or time count of 10, and then afternoon at 20, and then nighttime at, I don't know, 30 or 40. Hopefully you get the gist of it. And remember from the last video, everything that says self.something is equal to whatever that something was after the self is actually referring to one of the parameters in the initializer function. Now we're going to set, remember, well, as you can see, self.carType equal to carType, and then name is equal to name. Now we're going to do self.location, comma, self.location x, comma, self.location y is equal to the starting position. And you'll see how this is changed and where it really comes into play when we start moving and possibly teleporting, you never know. So skill cap is how many points they can put in a specific thing. So 150 is the highest point value they can have in something like strength or dexterity, etc. So once they hit 150 in a certain stat, then they can't go any higher than that. Obviously, level cap is a level cap. They can only get up to level 100 before they can't get any higher. Body count, we'll use that at the end of the game to show them how many things in total they've killed. XP, I'm going to set that back down to 0. That was just for a debug. Self XP is obviously their experience points. The character level is, I'm going to set that to 1 because they start at 1, and that's obviously to keep track of what level they are. And we'll probably use that for different types of spells and such. Now you just do the stats, and all of the stats are obviously in the parameters of the initializer function. So from the last video, you know what that is. Self.inventory, you'll see how the inventory is constructed and such like that in the items video, which again very likely might be next. And we'll set that to, let's say they find a burlap sack. We'll set it to the object that is a burlap sack, and the attributes it'll have is something like capacity. And if you want to have, say, durability, then let me know and I'll integrate that into it. And then we have self.stats, which is a dictionary, and let's just use health as an example. Health is a string, and then the self.health refers to the self.health up here, which is referring to the health in the parameter of the initializer function. So the way that would work is, let's say they have a health of 5, but they want to level up, then we will be listing all of these, and what they'll see is health. They'll see the string health, and then they'll see whatever number their health is. So if they have 5 health, they'll see health and 5 health. And that's the same for all of those. So now, and if you're confused at all, leave a comment and I will help you through it. Now, let's make different types of characters. So let's make a mage. So we'll set mage equal to character, and the name, we'll leave it as an empty string because that'll be reassigned. The character type is a mage. Let's just put that in lowercase. And then max health, let's just say they have 5 max health with 5 health. And remember, max health and health will both be changed. Max health is the current health they have. Health, well, the current level, or the current skill points they have in health. And then health is whatever current health they have. Strength will equal that to, I don't know, 3. Dexterity, 4. Intelligence, they're pretty smart, 8. Charisma, 6. Stealth, 1. He's a bumbling fool. Defense, we'll put that up to 8. Mana, 10. Max mana, and then mana is 10. And then we'll do the same thing with the thief. So thief equals character. Whoa, buddy. Character, empty string for the name, thief for the character type, and then we continue through that. So say 4 max health, 4 health, strength will be, I don't know, 7, dexterity, 8, intelligence, 8, charisma, 6, I don't know, stealth, 5. I know these are not correct numbers, they're not good numbers, but this is just an example. You can put them set to whatever you would like them to be. 4, mana, I don't know, 3, and 3. So now we have 2 different types of characters. Sorry for the cuts, but that was running a little bit long. The next video will be making a character select. Obviously this is different because this is what I'm going to be putting in the paste bin. So have a good one, guys.